shot like a rocket up into the sky. Nothing can stop me tonight. You make me feel invincible, earthquake powerful, just like a tidal wave. You make me break on my titanium fight song, raising up like the roar of victory and ascending on. Who can touch me? 'Cause I'm who can stop me tonight? You make me feel invincible. I feel it, invincible. I feel it, invincible.
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the members' best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
Hey, brothers and sisters, welcome to the next episode of the Biweekly Grievance. I'm your host, Dan Arlin. Today's July 5th, and we got some hot topic information that came down this morning. Negotiations between UPS and the Teamsters broke down at about 4 a.m. this morning with an 8 a.m. deadline for the company to give their last, best, and final. Sean and the negotiating committee unanimously voted down what was currently on the table. Today's news, obviously, was that both sides claimed that each other walked away from the table. I'm going to go with my theory of every time management opens their mouth, they're lying. So what does this mean? And are we on strike? First of all, no, we are not on strike. All this means is negotiations have stopped. We have, I guess, an unofficial last, best, and final from the company based upon what they were talking about when negotiations broke down. Why, a lot of people are questioning with negotiations, why was there a deadline of July 5th if the contract goes till July 31st? It's important to understand that Sean wants the members to have the right to view the tentative agreements, understand it, break it down, analyze it before they take a vote. Well, that takes time, not only to organize the vote, but to give members time to go through it without forcing them to vote without having time to review it. So rather than waiting till July 31st, Sean has imposed this July 5th on the company to get them to give us a last, best, and final so that we can put it out to the members for a vote. That puts us at a better bargaining position if we vote on the current offer and overwhelmingly reject it. It allows Sean and Fred and the committee to go back to the table and negotiate further with not only the strike authorization vote under their belt, but now they have a vote from the members saying that this agreement sucks and we're not going to put up with it. And it forces the company to do better. So it's not over, guys. It's far from over. This is just another step. So for you that think that we're already on strike, that's not true. And you better show up for work because you're going to get yourself in trouble. I also wouldn't go around telling people that we're on strike or 100% going on strike, or you'll get in trouble for promoting a strike. It's very important that you use the words, we will strike if we have to. Because all the way up until July 31st, there are going to be talks, whether they're official or not. I think they'll end up back at the table. It's ridiculous to think that they won't talk for 3 weeks and that UPS is just going to allow us to go on strike without any further negotiations. I understand also that the part-timers are very upset right now. It's been said many times that this contract was about the part-timers, and we've yet to hear any significant language or tentative agreements that affect the part-timers. I truly believe that Sean and Fred are going to look out for the part-timers. I think why we haven't heard anything on it is because Sean and Fred have only shared the tentative agreements that they have with the company. And I do believe that the part-time issues are very contentious with the company. So I think that that's all yet to come. I think a lot of the part-time issues revolve around economics. And of course, as we know, contract negotiations are going pretty well with the non-economic stuff. And now that we're getting into the economical portion, things have completely broke down, and we haven't heard anything about full-time or part-time issues. Part-time issues as far as hourly guarantees, as far as pension bumps, as far as hourly wage increases, catch-up raises. A lot of those issues are all in the economic package, guys. I wish we knew more. I wish we knew what the proposals were. And for the part-timers who are very frustrated, I get it, but the glimmer of hope you need to hold on to is, one, all those concessionary contracts that left you guys out were managed and implemented by HAFA, and HAFA was a sellout. We all know that. We're never going to get those back, and we aren't going to be able to resolve all those issues in one contract. That being said, not only has Fred and Sean made the part-time issues a strike issue, but even as late as or recently as this last Saturday, and I'll put the link in the description below for you to watch if you haven't seen it, the press conference that Sean gave this last Saturday, 100% was, well, I shouldn't say 100%, 3/4 of that press conference was referencing part-time issues, deplorable work conditions, horrible pay, horrible pension benefits. So it's not that he's forgotten you guys. It's just probably don't have tentative agreements, so therefore he has nothing to really bring out. He's been very careful to keep his strategy to the vest, as to not tip off the company as to what he is going for and how he's going to go about it. I truly believe your day is coming, guys. But that being said, I truly believe there's going to be a revolt in this company if the part-timers don't get their due. I think there's going to be a lot of angry, disgruntled employees, and I believe a mass exit of part-time employees going to seek employment elsewhere. And that kind of a sudden loss is going to be detrimental to UPS. So I truly believe you guys will get your due. And you guys also need to empower yourselves. I'm a full-time feeder driver, and I'm 100% behind the part-timers getting their due in this contract. But you guys have to remember, you guys are 2/3 of all UPS Teamster employees. And you part-timers, now that the 2/3 rule is gone, absolutely 100% control this contract. You know, you guys all say you haven't been getting your due, and I agree with that. But if you guys all get your fellow brother and sister part-time employees to stand up and promise to vote, if you guys don't like what's in the contract, you control it. 2/3 of the people, you can easily vote this contract down. So feel empowered, stand up, be loud, get on all your social media, get your message out to all the other employees, begging the full-timers to support you and begging your part-time fellow brother and sisters to support a no vote if you don't get your due. Sean and Fred have said 100% of the time that they don't control this contract. They are going to fight for the best contract that they believe they can get us. But ultimately, it's up to the members, 100%. So organize, people. Get yourselves ready. That being said, I don't see how we avoid a contract strike. Nobody wants it, but if you're telling yourself right now, oh, we'll settle before then, I'm telling you right now, guys, it's more likely than not that we will not reach an agreement before this contract ends, and we will probably end up on strike. I still believe, with all of this going on, that if we do end up on strike, that it will be short term. 97 was 16 days. I don't think we come anywhere near that. At $1 billion loss per week to UPS, I don't see the shareholders stomaching that loss. So there's a very good likelihood it would be a short-lived if it happens. But you have to be ready, guys. Pinch your pennies if you haven't already been doing that. Put some money away. Call your bills, your credit cards, your mortgage, your landlord. Make them aware of what's going on. There's no shame in this. And, they don't want you to default any more than you want to default, especially if you're living, paycheck to paycheck. So be honest with them, tell them what's going on. And if you end up on strike, a lot of your credit card companies and mortgages and stuff, they'll work with you. They'll move payments. They'll suspend payments. I know here in New England, if you have credit, you can apply for a New England Teamsters credit union credit card. And my understanding is that if you go on strike, that they suspend interest and payments for the duration of the strike. So at least it would give you some extra funds. Also, don't forget you're going to get strike pay for working the strike line, 5 times your monthly dues starting day 1 of the strike. You also, for part-timers, depending on what you pay, your minimum strike pay benefits is $200. The IBT will also make sure that nobody loses their insurance during a strike. So there's a lot of things that you have to be aware of, and there's a lot of information to process. So hang tough, guys. This is far from over, no matter what people are saying. One of the things I wanted to quickly mention, I completely understand where the part-timers are coming from and the anger of constantly getting shafted when it appears that the full-timers are constantly getting what they want. But I caution you to be careful with that anger, because it's not your brothers and sisters that work full-time that have been plotting against you. It's not their fault that they've been getting predominantly the things that they've needed and wanted in the contract. This has been a leadership breakdown in the Hoffa administration over the 20 plus years that he was in office. It's not, I'm a full-time feeder driver. I had nothing to do with the negotiations of the part-time language in the contract. So to be mad at full-timers for getting their due is unfair, and it only stands to create a divide, which is exactly what the company wants, guys. They want you to be pissed off at the full-timers and cause a divide, and it causes internal problems. And that's not going to get us to the goal line, guys. We have to stand in solidarity. I urge the full-timers to get behind the part-time issues and vote no if the part-timers don't get their due. And I urge the full-timers to understand that your anger needs to be directed at the company and at the previous leadership. I don't think Sean and Fred are going to leave you out in the wind. So let's hold the criticism of that until we know what's going on. This is far from over, guys. Please. Best thing we can do is to work together. And also, guys, now that things have broken down, I urge you 100% to watch your back at work. Managers are going to be looking to punish people, cause divides, put people out of work. So I'm telling you 100%, follow the rules, get to work on time, go to work. If they're forcing you in on a 6-punch, go in, even though we know it's wrong and it's not going to be a thing in the next contract. Don't give them a reason. Do everything methodically, follow the rules. Make sure you're not signing for packages. Make sure you're not doing leaving packages carelessly on front steps in view of the public. Make sure they're out of sight, out of weather. Put your seatbelt on, keep the door closed, do all that stuff to keep yourself out of trouble, because they're going to be looking to do this, guys. I'm telling you, volume's going to drop now that the even more so with a looming strike. So they're going to be looking to push people out the door, and they're not going to do it by seniority. They're going to do it by punishing the people that they deem aren't going to work as hard, and they're going to go after those people. And trust me, that's not what you want. Real quickly, 2 things that I've been told. If you watched my episode a couple of weeks ago about the New England supplement and the details in it, at my local, when they gave us the information, 2 things came out that were inaccurate, and I don't think it was really anybody's fault. One of them was we were told that we would be getting a $2 an hour bump for night differential, up from 15 cents an hour. I've since been told that that is not accurate. That was probably one of the proposals and somehow made it onto the tentative agreement sheet, but that is not a tentative agreement. I don't know if there is going to be a raise in the night differential, but for the New England supplement people, I apologize for the misinformation. I only passed down what was given to me, but I have now been told that that is not accurate. So I want to make sure I put that out. The other thing, when my local introduced or was giving out the information on the supplement, there seemed to be some confusion about lunches, on whether they were going to be 30 minutes or an hour, if we were going to have a choice, or how that was going to work out. And they had told us that they had reached out for clarification. I don't know if they have that yet or not, but the information I got directly from members of Local 25 in Boston when I was out there for the contract action team training was that there is no variable. In the new contract under the current tentative agreement, all driving positions, full-time drivers, 22-4s if they still exist, which we know now that they won't be as long as nothing changes, feeder drivers, everyone will have a 30-minute meal period across the board. No negotiation, no nothing. It is straight up 30 minutes for all driving positions in the new contract. I don't think that includes air drivers, however, but RPCDs, 22-4s if they happen to still exist, and feeder drivers will be at 30-minute lunches. And there is more of a chance of discipline if you do not take your 30 minutes. That being said, all 22-2s and 22-3s, so basically your inside workers will remain at a 1-hour lunch. And that's because of the scheduling, that the way things are set up. So if you're full-time and you're a 22-2 or 22-3, you will still be taking a 1-hour lunch. And that, again, is not flexible. That's my understanding is the tentative agreement. So I wanted to correct those things. And lastly, you guys might remember my previous guest, Jess, Leigh, out of Georgia. She has been a rock star over the last couple of months, and as a part-timer working the preload, she has really taken on an active role in campaigning for this contract. She heard of a different local that had started Red Shirt Fridays in solidarity for part-timers, and she's really got on that and has promoted it, and it seems to be a growing trend across the entire country that all inside non-uniformed employees on your Thursday night shift, which is primarily into Friday or Friday into Saturday, whichever or both, wearing a red shirt to work to send a clear message to management that you guys are all on the same page. Fantastic. She's also part of a group called Teamsters Mobilize, which is primarily run by part-timers trying to get out information about part-time issues and the contract stuff. And obviously it takes money to do some of that stuff. And, you know, they've all been putting in their own money, but now they have a GoFundMe page to try to help offset some of the cost of getting this information out and literature and whatnot. So there is a GoFundMe page set up for that cause. I donated $97 in the spirit of 1997 and all the fight we put in for the part-timers. I'm asking business agents and locals, if you have the ability to donate $97. You know, obviously it can't come out of the union funds, but if a business agent or somebody could get together and put $97 in, that would be phenomenal. And I'm suggesting full-timers to get behind this effort and donate $19.97 to this GoFundMe page to show solidarity with the part-timers and let them know that we do care about their issues. It's not our fault that we've been getting what we want and they've been deprived, but it is important that we all stand in solidarity with them. So just a suggestion. And I have a guest. I'm doing the show kind of in reverse. I'm doing this first and then the interview. I have Nick Rooney out of Local 177, Rockland County, New York, on talking about the frustration of the part-timers and how they feel like they're being left out again. It's a great interview. I hope you stay tuned to watch that. This has been another episode of the Biweekly Grievance. I stand in solidarity with you, brothers and sisters. Please leave me comments and questions below if you have anything you need me to cover or go over that you are interested in that I may not have gone over. This is not a time to close your ears, guys. You got to keep your nose to the grindstone. Today we have a special guest, Nick Rooney, out of Local 177 in New York. Nick, if you could introduce yourself, I'd appreciate that.
Good morning. My name's Nick. Shout out to the Local 177 Spring Valley and all the Teamsters, all the part-timers and full-timers.
As you know, this morning, news broke overnight about 4 a.m. That UPS walked out of negotiations, saying they've given all they can give and wouldn't even give a last, best, and final. What are your thoughts on that news this morning?
It's just frustrating, you know. I have faith, of course. I vent, you've seen it, but I feel like being there 27 years as a part-timer and always hearing that the contract's for us and it's not for us, I'd like to know and hear a lot more. I'm glad they walked out. They're not just giving in, of course, but I just don't see anything that makes me go, yes, for the part-timers this long. I'm happy my full-time brothers are getting what they get, but it's time they pass the torch to people like me and
well,
every
listen,
other part-timer.
Your feelings are parallel with most of the part-timers across this country. There has been a serious neglect to the part-timers at UPS that represent nearly 2/3 of our workers, our union brothers and sisters at UPS. And under the Hoff administration for the last 20 plus years, concession after concession and kind of ignoring the part-timers. And, for the first time in all those years, Sean O'Brien has made a commitment to better things for the part-timers. That being said, I understand the irate and frustration of the part-timers right now because very little has been even spoken about the part-timers. And here we are in the 11th hour. I want to believe that Sean has not forgotten you guys. I think a lot of the issues surrounding the part-timers, hours guaranteed, pay rate, all of that stuff falls in the economic portion of the contract and has yet to even really be discussed. The economic package, basically, since it was proposed to the company and the company gave their counter proposal, really has not gotten anywhere. So not to say that there aren't some non-economical issues, but this last Saturday, Sean O'Brien held a press conference talking about the status of UPS negotiations and announcing that the Teamsters were giving them till July 5th to give their last, best, and final. Most of that press conference revolved around part-time issues and making sure that not only are your work conditions, but your pay rates reflect the hard work that you guys put in. So I don't think you guys have been forgotten. I just feel bad for the fact that we aren't getting much information on the part-time issues. So, it's going to take some time to be patient, but if you could give me some of the hot topics for you that you think is important for the part-timers and things that you were expecting that you've yet to hear about.
Honestly, when I started there, I didn't realize how good my benefits were. I didn't realize that I had a pension until my 3rd year there. And just being there this long, everything that we go through as a part-timer, like blood, sweat, tears. I've been there for 27 years and I've probably seen well over 800 people come and go in the 27 years. People from Marines to regular people who say, oh, I can eat that part-time job up in a minute. You're just loading trucks. As they walk into the building, they head into that truck. It's 120 degrees, July 5th, and they're like, have a good day. I don't care how much you pay me. And then I see all this stuff about wanting to give all the new part-timers $25. I'm all for it. I started at $8 an hour and worked my way up to get to where I'm at. And to me, that's also not going to really entice the part-timer. What's $25 an hour when you're not even getting 3 hours a night? So, when your vacation check's 23 hours and you're barely getting 15 hours a week, it's like, how do you make it stick? And as you know as well, the part-time pension is pathetic. I live in New York, so they tax your pension. We're not even at 23.5 or something for 35 years. So the way it was broken down to me is imagine retiring 35 years with $2,500 a month. After taxes, if I'm not taking home at least $500 a week, it's not worth it. My vacation checks pretty substantially, almost 5 something a week after taxes. Shouldn't my pension be close to that? not like 380 a week. So, I'm here to, advocate everything for us that's within means, especially 100% a better pension, especially if you put 35 years in.
One of the things that I've talked about several times on my show is that in the United States, from what I'm aware of, there are only 2 full-time preloads in the entire country. They're both in Massachusetts. One of them happens to be my building. And the only difference between the part-time preloads throughout the country and the full-time preload in my building is that most part-time preloads load 3 to 4 hours a night and load about 3 trucks a night. And full-time preload, they load about 6 trucks a night in about an 8-hour period, give or take. So, but here's something that I always draw a correlation to is that our full-time preloaders make the same rate as drivers do. Nearly 3 times the amount that the part-time preloaders across the country make for the same exact job. Another thing that I brought up recently is the fact that in the 80s was the original 2-tier pay system at UPS, because prior to that, part-timers and full-timers at UPS made the same hourly rates. And they changed it and created the first 2-tier pay system back then by making the part-timers on a different pay scale, and actually gave them a pay cut when that was introduced. And they've never caught up since. Time will tell, but there's definitely been a lack of information, and I feel for the part-timers because this has all been sold as a correlation to 97, where 97 strike was about part-time issues. And, it's been, here we are full circle. And a lot of this contract has been about the part-time issues, but yet we've heard nothing about it. And I get your guys' frustration. I still truly believe in Sean and Fred. I think that you guys will get your due, or we will end up on strike over your issues. I just wish there was a little more information coming down. I think that they're probably talking about your issues, but there's been no tentative agreements. And that's why the only thing that they've been releasing out of negotiations has been the tentative agreements that they have. So I think that's part of the reason why there's been a lack of information, is because they have no tentative agreements on the part-time issues. But I still think your guys' due is coming. I certainly hope so, because I truly believe that if the part-time issues aren't addressed in this contract, we're going to have a major revolt on our hand by the part-timers. I see a mass exodus of workers quitting UPS and going elsewhere if they're ignored in this contract. So I highly doubt that. And that being said, historically, part-timers don't vote on the contract. And that's unfortunate, because I think that's part of the reason why they've been left in the wind a lot of these times, is because the majority of the people that vote on the contract are full-timers. But that being said, part-timers are 2/3 of the workforce. And the fact that Sean and Fred have removed the 2/3 rule from the contract that Hoffa used against us in 18, truly the part-timers control the vote on this contract. If every part-timer voted this contract down, it cannot be passed without your guys' vote. So I highly encourage.
That's why today,
go ahead.
Today, like with you and social media, which we didn't have 10, 15 years ago, more part-timers are online, have a Facebook account, YouTube. They're seeing this more. They're not just working part-time, getting a flyer and throwing it out. They're like, I've been here for 15 years and now I'm seeing this. You're telling us, and people are saying, vote, vote, vote. And they're like, this is what it's about. This helps even more to reach out to more part-timers all around the United States.
Absolutely.
To see this and know that we need to stand together in a company that's union and we're paying dues to give us rates and help us out, especially in the times today where $25, $300 a week part-time isn't enough. You have to work 2 jobs anyway. And even some full-timers living in certain states can't even afford it on their 40-hour a week. So this is a good thing, what you're doing. And
Well, I truly believe that this will be a historical contract. I think that Sean and Fred are holding strong. You guys control your own destiny. If you guys don't vote, then you guys can't complain down the road that you didn't get your due.
What scares me is not enough people voting, like you said. Please, whoever's listening, if you don't like it, vote no. Don't just walk away and then cry later, nothing was for us, when everything's out now in front of most of the people to see more than it was 2 contracts ago.
Absolutely.
No excuses.
No, but I will say that I'm very optimistic because, as you pointed out, with social media and the younger generation, it's very cool and hip to be part of a union for the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're kind of driving the labor surge right now. And so I totally see more engagement, especially by the younger members, and the word is getting out there. And I feel like the part-timers are more engaged now than they ever have been. So if they follow through with that and they actually vote on the contract, there should be no reason why you guys don't get what's due to you. I think that over this last couple of weeks, the behavior of UPS has been absolutely deplorable. For them to walk out of the room this morning saying they've given all they can give after making $13 billion in sheer profit last year. Prior to the pandemic, they were averaging about $7 billion a year in gross profits, or excuse me, net profits, meaning that's free and clear after paying all the bills and labor. And last year, they nearly doubled that to over $13 billion. And
nobody got hazard pay.
Nobody got anything extra.
Essential, but nothing.
Right. We're all heroes, COVID heroes, and now we're zeros.
And a lot of people got COVID in all the buildings I know, got sick. And some people were even told to come in with COVID. Wear a mask. We need you here. Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. But you can't even throw us an extra 2 hours a week or $3 an hour through the pandemic when Target's got it, Walmart's got it, other people, McDonald's, UPS. Just come to work. You got to ship. Everybody needs to stay home.
This contract isn't up to them. This contract is up to the members. So if we agree to a shitty contract, that's on us. You know, Sean and Fred are going to recommend what they recommend or recommend to vote something down. And I truly believe that they're fighting hard. I think that, you know, they have been completely upfront and honest with UPS about their demands, and UPS's disregard for their employees has been very prevalent. But my suggestion to everybody, and this has been said 100 times, but worth saying again, the best way to avoid a strike is to be ready for a strike. So we need to be in solidarity with one another. An injury to one is injury to all. So if the part-timers don't get their dues, then we all need to stand behind the part-timers. That means being ready and not afraid to walk out that door. I don't think it'll be a long strike. I just don't. Based upon everything I know from 97 and now, is that I don't see how we avoid a strike at this point. I absolutely don't. So for those people who think we're going to come to some miracle resolution and avoid a strike, I think you're drinking the wrong Kool-Aid. I think
this lady who's in charge is ready to push the envelope to strike. She seems to really not give a shit at all.
Carol Tomei has what we have here is a recipe for disaster. And I don't mean disaster for the Teamsters, but Carol Tomei's record from Home Depot and now so far with the UPS, and finally having some militant leadership in Sean O'Brien and Fred, is a recipe for a strike. I just don't see how we avoid it. She is basically daring the Teamsters to go on strike because we haven't done it in 25 years, and she honestly doesn't think we have the balls to do it. At a projected $1 billion per week loss to UPS, and I
guess she thinks they can handle that.
Well, yeah, but the problem is that, you know, compared to 97, we have stockholders to answer to now, right? They're not going to, and trust me, the majority of the stock is owned by Wall Street, okay? And Wall Street's not going to stomach a $1 billion loss per week. Mm-hmm. And Carol Tomei has been lying to them all along, saying that we're not that far apart, and projects that we will have a contract in time for July 31st. So she's going to have a lot of explaining to do to them. And I guarantee you they will not allow this strike to go on, because I don't know what the dollar price tag is of the things that we're asking for, but I'm pretty sure that it isn't more than $1 billion or $2 billion in new proposals. And if that's the case, being out 2 weeks, they will have given up the money that they would have. They would have been even, right? So now they're going to have to give it up, and they've lost it. So
she
it
could
just doesn't make any
potentially lose
sense.
her job too. Like
She doesn't, brother. She doesn't care about that. She doesn't care about that. Her net worth is over $130 million. She's made 40.
Her.
Right.
Yeah.
She's made $46.6 million in the last 2 years, which equivalent, she makes more in one day than 4 of you part-timers make in an entire year.
Yeah.
Okay. So she doesn't care. And as you know, when CEOs get fired, they don't walk out the door empty-handed. They get a golden parachute. No. So she'll get another $40 million for walking out the door, right?
Taken care of for life, her kids.
Yeah.
While we're
so let's not feel bad for Carol Toomey, all right?
Hell no.
She deserves everything she gets,
in my opinion. So.
Yeah. So, brother, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your frustration with me. I ask you guys to be patient. Don't judge Sean in the negotiations quite yet. I understand your frustration. I understand where you guys are coming from, and I don't blame you. But this is far from over, guys. We will not be able to avoid a strike, but let's complain about what we're not getting after the contract is signed, rather than complaining about what we don't know is coming or not coming. So let's stand in solidarity. I truly hope the part-timers get what they deserve. They absolutely deserve it, and there would be an absolute revolt if you guys don't get it. So
I just really want a big pension bump. I think pension is the main thing. Our benefits are good. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't want to raise? But it really needs to be pension, because again, I'll stress it enough. Most of these people aren't going to stay longer than 2 or 3 years. A lot of part-timers they're not lifers. They go full-time or they quit. So the guys who stuck it out, reward the people who put 35 to 40 years. Give us a good pension. We're going to come out of there broken. My body's not the same. I'm 45. I started when I was 18. And I'll tell you right now, the 8 hours crammed into 4 hours is not good for anybody's body. Loading, turning, our building's stoning. If you came and watched what my friend Andrew, my shop steward, he turns, these guys unload. Our building is old. There's no new equipment in there. Yeah. People get hurt, and it's like, have a good day. You don't realize that 15 years later, that injury is still there, and your pension's $250 a week. Well, for the rest of it, it's terrible. Here's my recommendation to you and all the other part-timers, okay? You guys are your biggest advocates. Yeah. So use the tools at your disposal. Get on Facebook, get on Instagram, get on TikTok, whatever it is that you do. You all need to go on there and highly encourage your brothers and sisters in the part-time world to vote on this contract. And if you don't get your due, vote it down. You guys control the contract. And that doesn't mean the full-timers shouldn't support you. But I hate to tell you, a lot of people are disengaged, and they don't really know what's going on. And it may be totally innocent in the fact that they don't realize what you guys are going through, because they're not engaged. They don't listen to what's going on. So, there are a lot of full-timers that are engaged, myself being one of them. And if the part-timers don't get their due, I'm telling you right now, I'll vote no. But thank you. But you part-timers need to speak up for yourselves. And with the handful of full-timers that are in the know and vote with you guys, we can get this done. I appreciate your time, Nick. Go about your day. Thank you. Try not to let today's news or the lack of news on part-timers get you down at this point. Have faith. Let's work the system. Let's educate our brothers and sisters, and let's get one hell of a historical contract, brother. I'm sure that's what everybody wants, including myself, yes. Absolutely. Solidarity forever, brothers and sisters. Have a great day, and let's hope we can get this historical contract and make us all whole.